So I guess I'm in sloth mode. I would say that this is a new thing. So the speed limit is 30. I'm doing 28. Usually on this road, it'll do right at the speed limit or a few miles an hour over the speed limit. So, as far as I can tell so far in sloth mode, it's sticking to the speed limit or less. And that doesn't bother me at all. One of the things that I've noticed on these back roads here is that the roads are, they're 30 miles an hour, but if you're doing 30 miles an hour on these roads, your suspension is probably going to wear out quicker than normal because of all of the imperfections in the road. And my guess is that will not be managed by this V14 lite, which is fine, but I'll be taking note of that as well. And those imperfections I'll talk about those closer to the end of our drive, which is out on 1488 as I turn left onto the road where I'll be picking up my wife. I can't remember the name of that road, but it's definitely slothy. It's just a smooth ride. I mean, it's like it's in no hurry. It's not being aggressive. It's not bad. Stopped in plenty of time before the white line. That was nice. No need for a creep ahead, and that turn was a-okay to me. Usually at that corner, or any corner, it'll stop and then it'll creep forward, and then it'll make a second decision. And while that's a kind of a safety thing, it doesn't give off a natural feeling. Whereas if I'm doing it, I can look around me and I can make a good judgment on whether I can go or not. And if I can't see that I can go, then I'll creep up. If I need to kind of edge out to see better, I'll do that. But in the old version, it would do it every time, just kind of as a protocol. It was kind of annoying. So I haven't seen that in the past two turns here. Man, we are slothing. I mean, we are at 35 miles an hour. And it is definitely adhering to the speed limit. I don't mind that at all. I might oh, it just kind of hit the brakes a little bit, which is kind of interesting. There's just a small nudge on the brakes, but I wonder if it's because it saw that men working flag, and it kind of thought to itself that it should chill out a little bit. Maybe it looked around to see if there's any men actually working, but then it picked back up to the 35 miles an hour. Not sure what that guy was doing. Oh, he's part of that men working thing. Right, I'm gonna switch this. If I can switch it during. So I'm gonna do chill. Let's see what happens here. And then I'm going to choose park. Doesn't let me choose anything. What is that? Looks like it's, ooh, yeah, in chill mode, it kind of jumps up a little bit above the speed limit. Now I'm doing 37 instead of 34 and 35. not sure what this little thing is, but it didn't let me choose whether I wanted to. Oh, I do see there's a streak here. So what the streak is, I don't know if you guys can see that, but what the streak is it's basically saying, you know, how long on self-driving am I doing this? So in other words, how many, every time I end full self-driving, my streak ends, right? It's kind of like when you're playing a video game and you get a perfect run. They call that a streak. Well, in this case, you know, the longer you stay on full self-driving, the more bonus points, so to speak, you get. I don't know if it's by miles. So I'm still curious what this progress bar is going to get me. It's kind of interesting. I haven't noticed any differences between the visual here. So, I mean, this all kind of looks the same to me. I don't know. Another thing that I noticed is there's the little creep. So it kind of pulled forward a little bit. It's looking left and right. Now right here, usually it makes bad decisions. This is going to be a really big, let's see if it pulls out there. No, at this point, before in the older version one, it might have pulled out when it shouldn't have. I mean, it made a really risky choice, and 9 times, and it's going to do it. Oh, that's not bad at all, actually. I got a little scared, but when I quickly turned to look if there's any oncoming cars, it looked pretty safe. But I got pretty scared because usually it makes some pretty bad decisions on that unprotected left. So here we're going to slow down and take a right here. And there we go. And here's a railroad track. Let's see if it slows down for it. It does not. It's another thing that I didn't like too much about the old version is that it really puts a wear and tear on your suspension, especially going over railroad tracks. So now it thinks that the speed limit's 27. There aren't any posted speed limit signs. It thinks it's 25, and so it's going 27. I'm pretty sure the cars behind me are like frustrated because they know that the speed limit here is 35. So the speed profiles or the map profiles are probably not up to date. But here we have a speed limit sign, and it just now flipped to 35 as soon as it saw that. So I don't know if it's reading the signs, but it definitely speeded back up. So let's see here. Oh, I see. When I change from one profile to the other, it looks like it goes through this progress thing. So as long as I have this open. But I still don't see how I can change this, what to do at destination. So I guess I'll just let that go. All right, here we're going to take a right-hand turn. Got a car here. And really, it should just only be looking left. No problems. Oh, made a little jerk on the brake there, but it was a fine. You know, it's kind of like a 20-year-old driving the car, right? So they don't have a lot of 50-year-old experience is what I would equate to how this car drives. It's still a little immature, in my opinion. When I first got the car, it was like a 4-year-old driving. After we upgraded to the next major version, which I think was like 11.3 or something like that, it was like a 15-year-old driving. in the previous version that I was on, I would say it was more like a teenager, 18, 20-year-old teenager driving, but it made a lot of mistakes. Well, this seems pretty good. I mean, it's still curious about what this progress bar is. Just put that down. Oh, it just now told me to pay attention to the road. That's another thing that I wanted to check is how long does it take at me not looking at the road before it complains. That was one of the things that a lot of people didn't like, is that you just didn't have much time to look at the display window before it would start nagging you to look back at the road. So I'm going to look down at the monitor for as long as possible and just see, if there's any noticeable difference about the nag. And yeah, I mean, there's a noticeable difference between the delay between the nags. It just now told me to look at the screen, and that was probably a good 15-20 seconds, whereas I might have had a good 5 seconds before it would nag me before. So good on that. All right, should I put it into a different driving mode and see how it feels? It's going 42 and a 40 right now. So let me just switch over to standard and let's see what we get out of that. All right. Now we're doing 43, 44, 45. My guess is that it's going to kind of do 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, which is kind of standard for most cars. So that makes sense. So this next left that we're going to be taking, it's also an unprotected left, and this one really has a lot of problems. I'd say 85 to 90% of the time, I just disengage before I even get to the corner. I just manage it all by myself every time, because it is just so unreliable, and it makes so many bad decisions on that left-hand turn that I just didn't feel any comfort in doing that anymore on this turn. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it, and a lot of times I would report that, I would do a manual kill, and I would report that to Tesla that it was just horrible on this left-hand turn. So we're basically coming off of a 40 mile an hour road, and we're going on to a 60 mile an hour road from a stop sign. So the cars, and we're taking a left. So the cars that are coming down this road are doing 60 miles an hour. And Vicky, which is my car's name, has no depth perception, and it doesn't take into account that the road that we're going on to is a 60 mile an hour road. Now, this is very smooth, but there wasn't any cars coming or going in either direction, so it wasn't a real good test. But it did do the standard stop, and it creeped up a little bit, and then it went ahead and really smoothly turned that left-hand turn. I'm pleased with it, even though I didn't get to do a real challenging test for it. So now we're on a 60 mile an hour road. We're doing 53. There's a lot of dump trucks on this road, so usually we don't get up to speed very quickly, because the acceleration of dump trucks is very slow. Oh, I see there's a new button down here that you can add to, I guess you can add a waypoint or something. I might try and play with that in a little bit. I'm just going to click on it. What does it do? Oh, it pulls up the search bar. I don't know if that was there before, but that's nice. Set arrival energy. I'll do settings later. And sure want to know what this is. Maybe I need to be in park before I test that. So I've been 9.3 miles on a very smooth drive. If I make it all the way without having to disengage, I'd be surprised and very pleased. When I first got this car, I kind of, in my head, I was thinking, because, Tesla, they sold us on the fact that we would have level 5 autonomy in our hardware 3 vehicles. And I bought the vehicle for that reason, because my wife, she's not a native driver, and she has very little confidence on the road. And I wanted to be able to put her in the car and have it take her to work and back. Now, obviously we would do that within the law, but I think once a car is level 5 autonomy, I would have to check the regulations. Is it only in certain areas that the level 5 autonomy would be allowed to be used, or could you drive anywhere in it, and do you have to be licensed with level 5 autonomy? What are all the regulations, right? At that point, what level 5 autonomy means is that the car does not need any input from the driver. There needs not even be a driver in the driver's side. The driver does not have to keep their eyes on the road. The driver does not have to engage with the car at all, other than to open the door when they get in and exit the vehicle when they get out, or enter in the destination information. That's what level 5 is. And so if you have that, does that mean that you have to have a driver's license? So I might look into that. I might do some AI research on that. So here we're coming up to the next turn. It's a left-hand turn. It's just like a 3-way stop sign. It's fairly docile. Everybody's stopping and giving everybody courtesy. There is a lot of traffic here, so we're not going to, see whether it's, just goes balls to the wall over these railroad tracks. But one of the problems that the old version had was every single time it would stop on the railroad tracks, and that was pretty smooth. I don't know what it would have done in the other situation. So here it's waiting a little bit long on taking a left. If it were a human driver, the human would have already pre-planned what his turn would be, and that stop would be very short, just enough to abide by the law, and I would have immediately went. But what's happening is the vehicle's coming to a stop, and then it's having to think about what to do next, kind of reactively as opposed to proactively. So I would give that one, over the previous version, I would give that a couple points in the positive direction. But from a being like a real driver perspective, real people are pre-planning in their head the next move. That is a 15-year-old move right there, a 15-year-old's move, as opposed to, a 55 plus year old person. Okay, so here we're kind of slowing down a little bit. It's just kind of bumping on the brakes a little bit. And it moves over just a little bit to give courtesy to the person pulled over on the road. Didn't freak out. It just bumped on the brakes just enough to, let the person, if there was a person behind us, know that we were going to be slowing down. And then it kind of moved over into the yellow area, just enough to give some space between my car and the car on the side of the road. Not bad. Not bad at all, actually. So I want to push pause on this section of road, because this is probably one of the most easy parts of the trip that I drive down. So I would assume that it's going to be pretty boring. But there have been occasions where, down this road, these little black lines on the road, these tar lines, the car will mistake it for a hole or something, and it will literally jump on the brakes. It'll slam on the brakes, and it'll, about give us a heart attack so many times. It hadn't done that this time. It's not consistent though. So here a car was taking a left-hand turn in front of me. And there was plenty of room, and my car kind of let off the accelerator a little bit and kind of slowed down just a little bit. And again, it's not a bad move. I would say it's very safe, but if it were me driving, I would have already seen that it was very safe for me to continue at that pace, and I probably wouldn't have adjusted my speed at all. It's a little detail, but it gives you the impression that it's being a little overly cautious, or that it's not pre-planning. So here we didn't even stop. We just took an immediate right, which is fine. It was clear. The light was green. No one in front of us. So nothing spectacular there. All right, so up here we have a curve that we're going to go around. And usually on this curve in standard mode, it's taking it like it is Speed Racer. And now in this version, it's still a little fast, but it did do some like slowing down, some smooth slowing down before it got to the curve. And it took it at a reasonable speed. So I'm pretty pleased with that. All in all, I have not disengaged. I've been 15 miles in standard mode. I'm keeping up with traffic. I'm not annoying anybody. That's another thing that the old Tesla would do is it would just, people would get annoyed thinking that I was being a bad driver, and they would try to get around me. But this really gives the feel, if someone doesn't know that I'm on full self-driving and I'm driving next to this person or myself, I wouldn't know that person was driving on full self-driving. So that's a star in the right direction for Tesla. So here we're at this next section. It's the next light up. So you can see there's construction here. At some point, I think it's after this light, it merges into a single lane, and then the road becomes pretty bumpy, and the markings on the road are, unless you're a human, they're not very discernible. And on that same section of road, there is a spot where you can get in that lane to turn left. It's a left-hand turn lane. It's not very well marked, but every single time I go down this road in full self-driving, it tries to use that lane as a second lane on my destination. So in other words, you can't go straight through that lane. It is for turning, not going straight. So I always have to disengage to keep it from going into the other lane. So it looks like we're gonna take the fast lane here, and we're fine here. It's a good move. It's going around some slower cars, and it took an opportunity. Give that an A plus. Very stable. I mean, I'm loving it. I can't wait to do a long trip. That's going to be nice. I also want to try doing it with glasses and see how that works. I know when you have on sunglasses, it really is much more flexible about the nag mode. So I'm curious if it did anything different with that. And another thing that you may not notice is that I was wearing a cowboy hat. Okay, here's, and I'll tell you that in a minute. Here's that merge that's coming up. So I'm in the merge lane, and it looked like it took the very smooth. It didn't wait till the last minute. Didn't try to go around any cars. It merged over perfectly. Now this is just day one of driving. I do this every day, twice a day. So I might do a follow-up later on to see if it just got lucky several times. This is just one sample. But maybe I'll come back in a month and kind of give my monthly assessment of how it's going with this version. So here's that left-hand turn lane, and oh no, yeah, is that it? Yeah. So it did not try to get into that lane, and that is A plus, thank goodness. But again, this is just anal of me. It's, you know, going over a pretty bumpy road pretty quickly, but you know, I would think that if it kind of knew or could assess the road and see that it, or learn from it, if it takes this road many times, and if it were able to store in its memory that it, you know, it's jerky because of all the bumps, that it would learn from itself and kind of just in this section jump off the accelerator a little bit. It's, you know, try to make the car last longer, you know, but you know, maybe that's a few iterations down the road. So this is a protected left, and we're taking a left here. Now on this road there are potholes, there are bumps, there are things that I have to disengage with the car to avoid these things. I'm gonna let it run over them to see how it handles them. So there should be a pothole coming up in just a second here, unless they fixed it. But it's definitely, oh, here's that pothole. So ran right over it, and then it tried to steer around it. So there's obviously a delay in its decision making. So it hits the pothole and then it swerves to miss the pothole. Like, we're talking a matter of microseconds that it has to make that decision. And I would give that a failure on detecting and adjusting to potholes in the road. So I'll be, going forward. I know for a fact that it's going to go over that pothole every single time. And I just hit another pothole. These are very noticeable potholes. So I would think that if my car had a better camera, it could probably pick up that resolution better and be able to adjust quicker. And if we had a faster processor, it would be able to react to those identified potholes. So it is what it is. I'll be looking forward to the next hardware upgrade, and I can't wait to give my assessment on that. So I'm going to go ahead and push pause here because the line that I'm in, waiting for the the red light to go, it's going to take me 30 minutes to get past there, I think. So I'll unpause as soon as I get closer to the railroad tracks that this car loves to stop on, rather than stopping just before the tracks. So I want to record that as well, and I'll rate that too.